When the stars went silent, the sky above Nova Prime burned. Commander Vextil watched from the command center as another orbital defense platform exploded in a brilliant flash of light, debris scattering across the upper atmosphere like falling stars. His four-fingered hands gripped the tactical display until his slate-gray knuckles turned pale. Defensive grid at 18% capacity, reported his second, Trell. The young Xaveran's voice quavered slightly, but she maintained her composure despite the chaos. Civilian evacuations are only at 62% complete. We need more time, Commander. Vextil's compound eyes narrowed as he studied the approaching Scourge vessels, black, angular ships that resembled obsidian shards cut through space toward the small colony world. Nova Prime had been established just 30 cycles ago, a joint venture between 3 species to study the unusual stellar phenomena in this sector. It wasn't a military outpost. It wasn't strategically valuable. But none of that mattered to the Scourge. They consumed. That was their nature. Send another distress call to the Galactic Alliance, Vextil ordered, though he held little hope. The previous 12 calls had gone unanswered. The Alliance's nearest fleet was 3 systems away, dealing with another Scourge incursion. By the time they arrived, Nova Prime would be nothing but ash and memory. Distress signal broadcasting on all Alliance frequencies, Trell confirmed, her slender fingers dancing across the console. No response. Vextil chittered quietly, a sound of frustration his species made when confronted with impossible odds. The colony housed nearly 20,000 civilians. Scientists, engineers, families, his people, entrusted to his protection. How long until the Scourge breached the atmosphere? At current velocity, 23 minutes, Trell replied. Not enough time. Not nearly enough. Commander, called out Krill, the communications specialist. We're receiving a response. Vextil straightened immediately. The Alliance. No, sir. Krill's facial tendrils quivered with confusion. It's coming from the Sol system. Sol. Vextil's mandibles clicked in surprise. That's impossible. The humans haven't responded to any galactic communications in over 70 years, not since the Alliance rejected their membership. Yet the signal was unmistakable, transmitted on a frequency that hadn't been used in decades. A simple message, translated into the standard galactic code. Nova Prime, this is Earth Command. Hold position. Assistance en route. ETA 18 minutes. Vextil felt a flutter of hope, quickly suppressed by realism. What could they possibly send that would make a difference? The humans withdrew from galactic affairs completely after the rejection. They have no significant fleet, no advanced weapons technology. Sir, interrupted the sensor specialist, I'm detecting spatial distortions at the edge of the system. Massive energy readings, unlike anything in our database. The main view screen shifted to show the outer reaches of the Nova Prime system. Space itself seemed to fold and ripple, creating what looked like tears in the fabric of reality. Through these rifts emerged ships, dozens of them, then hundreds. They weren't like any vessels Vextil had ever seen. Sleek yet massive, with hull configurations that defied conventional design principles. They moved with impossible grace for their size, accelerating toward Nova Prime at velocities that should have torn apart any known spacecraft. By the first light, whispered Trell. What are they? The answer came moments later as the lead vessel transmitted an identification code, accompanied by a visual signal projected onto every screen in the command center. A blue and green world surrounded by white stars on a black field. Earth. Humanity had returned to the stars. The human vessels didn't slow as they approached the Scourge fleet. Instead, they accelerated, breaking formation to execute maneuvers that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Energy weapons lanced from their hulls. Not the standard plasma or particle beams used throughout the galaxy, but something different. Something new. Where they struck the Scourge ships, the black hulls didn't merely damage or explode. They disintegrated, breaking apart at a molecular level that left nothing but dust. their weapons technology. Vex still couldn't finish the thought. What he was witnessing shouldn't be possible. The Galactic Alliance's finest ships couldn't stand against the Scourge for more than minutes. These human vessels were tearing through them like they were nothing. A new transmission reached them, this time with visual accompaniment. The image that appeared on the main screen showed a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform. Her dark hair was cut short, and her eyes held a determination that transcended species barriers. Nova Prime Command. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet Vanguard. We're engaging the Scourge forces now. Begin your final evacuation procedures. We'll cover you. Admiral. Vex still responded, still struggling to process what he was seeing. We thank you for your assistance, but how did you know? The Alliance has been unable to. We've been listening, Chen interrupted, her expression somber. For 70 years, we've been listening to everything happening in the galaxy. We knew the Scourge was coming before you did. On the tactical display, the battle unfolded with brutal efficiency. The human ships moved in coordinated patterns that seemed almost choreographed, never firing on the same target twice, never wasting energy. The Scourge, used to overwhelming their enemies with superior numbers and ferocity, found themselves outmatched for the first time. Why now? Vex still couldn't help asking. After all this time, why reveal yourselves now? Admiral Chen's eyes softened slightly. Because you asked for help, Commander. And unlike the Alliance, we don't abandon those in need. Within 15 minutes, the space above Nova Prime was clear of Scourge vessels. Not a single human ship had been lost, though several showed battle damage. They formed a protective net around the planet, energy shields extending to create an impenetrable barrier. The Scourge fleet has been neutralized, Admiral Chen reported. We're detecting additional Scourge vessels at the edge of the system, but they appear to be retreating. Retreating. Vex still had never heard that word associated with the Scourge before. They consumed or were destroyed. They never retreated. Admiral, he said, his voice steadier now, I don't know how to thank you. You've saved thousands of lives today. No thanks necessary, Commander. But I suggest you prepare for company. My superiors will want to speak with your Alliance representatives. The Alliance hasn't sent representatives, Vex still admitted. They deemed Nova Prime non-essential to the war effort. Something flickered across Chen's face, anger, perhaps, or disgust. Then we'll speak with whoever's in charge. It's time the galaxy understood that the rules have changed. As the transmission ended, Vex still turned to see his entire command staff staring at him, their expressions ranging from awe to disbelief. Commander, Trell said quietly, did Earth just declare war on the Scourge? Vex still looked back at the tactical display, where the human vessels now orbited Nova Prime in perfect formation, their shields glimmering like a protective cocoon around the planet. No, Trell, he replied. I think Earth just declared war on complacency. In the hours that followed, shuttles descended from the human fleet, medical teams, engineers, security forces. They moved with practiced efficiency, helping the injured, reinforcing damaged structures, establishing defensive perimeters. Vex still found himself in a makeshift command post with Admiral Chen and her senior officers. Up close, the humans were even more impressive, confident without arrogance, powerful without intimidation. We've been monitoring the Scourge for decades, Chen explained, displaying a holographic map of the galaxy with red markers indicating Scourge activity. Their pattern of expansion isn't random. They are targeting specific worlds, gathering resources for something bigger. The Alliance believes they're simply a predatory species, Vex still said, consuming everything in their path without purpose. Chen shook her head. The Alliance is wrong. The Scourge are building something, a superweapon, we believe, one capable of destroying entire star systems. How could you possibly know this? Asked Trell, who had joined them at Chen's invitation. The Alliance has the most advanced intelligence network in the galaxy. A human officer, Chen had introduced him as Commander Okafor, laughed softly. The Alliance has the most advanced known intelligence network. We've been operating in shadow space for 7 decades, developing technologies they deemed too dangerous or impractical. After the Alliance rejected Earth's membership, Chen continued, claiming our species was too aggressive, too unpredictable, we decided to prove them right, in our own way. We built a defense force unlike anything the galaxy has seen, using principles of physics your scientists haven't even discovered yet. Vextil absorbed this information slowly. And now? What happens now? Admiral Chen's expression grew serious. Now we prepare. The force that attacked you was just a scouting party. Our intelligence suggests the main Scourge Armada is gathering for a massive assault on core Alliance worlds. They'll strike within days. The Alliance must be warned, Vextil said urgently. They're being warned as we speak, Chen replied. Earth has dispatched envoys to every major Alliance world. But warnings aren't enough. The Alliance fleets can't stand against what's coming. She activated another holographic display, showing what could only be described as an armada. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of ships in formation stretching beyond the image's boundaries. This is the Earth Defense Fleet, she said simply. The vanguard that saved your world is just our forward reconnaissance division. Trell gasped audibly. You've built all this in secret. We had 70 years and the motivation of survival, Commander Okafor said. Humanity has always excelled when our backs are against the wall. Admiral Chen fixed her gaze on Vextil. Your people have a choice to make, Commander. The Alliance abandoned you. We didn't. Remember that in the days to come. As night fell on Nova Prime, Vextil stood outside the command post, looking up at the stars. Among them, barely visible to the naked eye, were the human ships, sentinels standing watch over a world that wasn't their own, protecting people they had no obligation to save. 70 years ago, the Galactic Alliance had rejected humanity's application for membership, claiming humans were too violent, too unpredictable, too dangerous to join the civilized races of the galaxy. Looking at the stars now guarded by Earth's fleet, Vextil wondered if perhaps the Alliance had been right, just not in the way they had intended. Humanity was dangerous indeed, but sometimes the galaxy needed dangerous allies. The shield of humanity. The Galactic Alliance Central Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from 47 species packed the circular hall, their anxious murmurs creating a constant background hum. At the center of the chamber stood Admiral Helena Chen, flanked by her senior officers. She wore her formal Earth Defense Fleet uniform, midnight blue with silver insignia, and stood with perfect military posture despite having spent the last 3 days in near-constant transit between star systems. High Counselor Vren, the aged Alteran who had led the Alliance for nearly 2 decades, raised his 6-fingered hands for silence. The chamber gradually quieted. Admiral Chen, he began, his translator converting his whistling speech into standard galactic. The Council has reviewed the data you've provided regarding the imminent Scourge threat. We find your assessment troubling. Chen's expression remained neutral. Troubling is an understatement, High Counselor. The Scourge main fleet will reach Alliance space within 48 hours. They have amassed over 3,000 vessels and show evidence of using captured Alliance technology to enhance their capabilities. And yet, interjected Counselor Drav, a reptilian Soran known for his skepticism, humanity claims to have built a fleet capable of standing against this threat, all in secret, all while refusing contact with the galactic community for 70 years. Commander Okafor tensed beside Chen, but she placed a subtle restraining hand on his arm. We didn't refuse contact, Counselor, she replied evenly. We were deemed unworthy of it. The Alliance made its position clear during the rejection. Humanity was considered too volatile, too unpredictable to join your community. So we built our own. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Most of the current council hadn't even been alive during the rejection. It was ancient history to them, a footnote in Alliance records. That was a different time, Vren said diplomatically. The Alliance has evolved since then. So has humanity, Chen countered. But we're not here to relitigate the past. We're here because the present demands action. The Scourge isn't just another aggressive species. They're an existential threat to all life in this galaxy. She activated a holographic projector, displaying the same strategic map she had shown Vextil days earlier. Red markers indicated confirmed Scourge positions, spreading like a virus across one quadrant of the galaxy. Their pattern is clear, she explained. They target worlds with specific resources, strip them bare, then move on. They're building something. We call it the World Breaker. Based on our intelligence, it's a weapon capable of destabilizing a star's core, causing it to go supernova prematurely. Stunned silence fell over the chamber. That's impossible, Counselor Drav finally said. No known technology could affect a star on that scale. No Alliance technology, corrected Commander Okafor. The Scourge operate on different principles. They've been harvesting specific elements from each world they consume, elements necessary for quantum manipulation on a stellar level. High Counselor Vren studied the display with growing concern. If what you say is true, Admiral, then all our worlds are at risk. But what would you have us do? The Alliance Defense Force is already stretched thin, containing the Scourge incursions we know about. Admiral Chen straightened. The Earth Defense Fleet is prepared to take primary responsibility for engaging the Scourge main armada. We've developed weapons specifically designed to counter their technology. At Nova Prime, added a new voice. Commander Vextil stepped forward from among the observers. I witnessed Earth vessels neutralize a Scourge attack force without suffering a single loss. Their technology exceeds anything the Alliance currently deploys. Counselor Drav's scaled brow furrowed. And what does Earth want in return for this generous offer of protection? The question hung in the air, heavy with implication. Chen felt the eyes of everyone in the chamber on her, waiting to hear humanity's price. A seat at the table, she said simply. Not as supplicants, not as junior partners, but as equals. The galaxy is changing. The old order is ending. Earth wants to help build what comes next. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the chamber. A harried Alliance officer rushed in, making straight for High Counselor Vren. They conferred quietly for a moment before Vren turned back to the assembly, his expression grave. The Scourge fleet has been detected entering the Proxima system. They've already overwhelmed the outer defense grid. Proxima, just one jump from where they stood now, on the Alliance capital world of Harmonia. They're ahead of schedule, Chen said, already activating her comm unit. Earth Command, this is Admiral Chen. Execute Protocol Thunderhead immediately. I repeat, execute Thunderhead. She turned to the Council, her voice commanding attention without raising its volume. The Earth Defense Fleet main battle group is moving to intercept. We can hold them at Proxima. But we need the Alliance forces to secure the evacuation corridors and provide logistical support. For a moment, no one moved. Then High Counselor Vren nodded sharply. You heard the Admiral. All Defense Force commanders, coordinate with Earth's fleet. Priority is protecting civilian populations and securing critical infrastructure. As the chamber erupted into activity, Chen and her officers moved toward the exit. Vextil fell into step beside them. You knew, he said quietly. You knew they would arrive early. Chen glanced at him. We suspected. The Scourge have been accelerating their timetable consistently. That's why our fleet was already positioned for rapid deployment. The Council doesn't fully understand what they're facing, Vextil observed. They will, Chen replied grimly. Soon enough. 3 hours later, Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the EDF Intrepid, Earth's flagship dreadnought. Through the main viewport, she could see the swirling blues and violets of hyperspace as they neared their destination. Battle group status, she asked. All ships reporting ready, Admiral, replied Captain Sato from Tactical. 720 vessels in formation, phase shields at maximum power, quantum disruptors charged and locked. And the Proxima Defense Forces. The Alliance garrison is evacuating civilians to the emergency shelters, reported Commander Okafor. Their combat vessels are taking position behind our primary formation, as requested. Chen nodded. The Alliance ships were brave, but their technology was outmatched by the Scourge. Better to have them focus on rescue and support operations, while Earth's fleet handled the main engagement. Emergence in 30 seconds, announced the navigation officer. Chen took a deep breath. This would be the Earth Defense Fleet's first full-scale engagement, the true test of 70 years of preparation and innovation. All hands to battle stations, she ordered. Prepare for phase space transition. The swirling colors of hyperspace suddenly collapsed, giving way to the stark blackness of normal space. The Proxima system spread out before them, a red dwarf star surrounded by rocky planets and asteroid belts, and approaching from the system's edge, a vast cloud of darkness. The Scourge main fleet. Tactical analysis, Chen commanded. 3,400 Scourge vessels detected, reported Captain Sato. Configuration matches our intelligence. Heavy assault craft in the vanguard, resource collection vessels in the center, command structure at the rear. Chen studied the formation. They're not expecting resistance. They think this is another easy harvest. Admiral, called the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from the Scourge command ship. It's directed specifically at us. Chen raised an eyebrow. Put it through. The main screen flickered, revealing a humanoid figure that was decidedly not human. Gray, almost translucent skin stretched over an elongated skull. Eyes like black pits. When it spoke, its voice seemed to echo from somewhere deep and cold. Earth vessels, it said in flawless English. Your presence is unexpected. Chen felt a chill run down her spine, but kept her expression neutral. You know who we are. We know all the species of this galaxy, the creature replied. We have studied you for centuries. Humanity. Isolated. Divided from the Alliance. Vulnerable. You've studied old data, Chen replied. Things have changed. The creature's lipless mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. It matters not. You will be consumed, like all the others. Your resistance is futile. We'll see about that, Chen said, signaling for the transmission to be cut. She turned to her officers. They're trying to intimidate us. Standard psychological warfare. It means they consider us a legitimate threat, Okafor noted. That's something, at least. Chen nodded, then addressed the entire bridge. The Scourge believes they know humanity. They think they've calculated our response, measured our strength. They're wrong. For 70 years, we've prepared for this moment, not just with technology, but with purpose. She activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. The enemy before us has consumed countless worlds. They believe we'll be next. They've never faced humanity before. Let's show them why that was a mistake. Execute attack pattern Omega. Weapons free. The Earth Defense Fleet surged forward, ships moving in perfect synchronization. Unlike conventional space battles, where vessels maintained safe distances and exchanged fire from afar, Chen had developed a different doctrine. Earth ships dove directly into the Scourge formation, their phase shields allowing them to pass through enemy fire while delivering devastating counterattacks. Quantum disruptors, weapons that targeted the very atomic structure of their targets, lashed out from Earth vessels, causing Scourge ships to disintegrate from within. Gravity lances created localized singularities that crushed enemy craft like paper. Temporal distortion fields slowed Scourge vessels to a crawl, making them easy targets. From the Intrepid's bridge, Chen directed the battle with calm precision, adjusting formations and targeting priorities as the engagement evolved. The Alliance representatives, observing from a secure command post on Proxima's largest moon, watched in astonishment as humanity's fleet tore through the Scourge Armada. They're trying to regroup, reported Captain Sato 2 hours into the battle. Their command structure is pulling back, attempting to establish a defensive perimeter. Chen studied the tactical display. The Scourge had lost nearly a third of their vessels, while Earth's fleet had suffered only minimal damage to a few frontline ships. They're protecting something, she realized, noting how the Scourge commanders positioned their remaining forces. Scan their command ship. Look for unusual energy signatures. The results came back moments later, confirming her suspicions. At the heart of the Scourge fleet, partially assembled but recognizable from Earth's intelligence, was the Worldbreaker, a massive construct of alien metal and crystal, pulsing with energy that defied normal physics. That's our primary target, Chen declared. All strike groups converge on the Scourge command structure, breach their defensive line, and neutralize that weapon. The battle intensified as Earth's fleet pressed their advantage. The Scourge fought with increasing desperation, sacrificing ships to protect their superweapon. For the first time in recorded history, the consumers of worlds knew fear. On the Intrepid's bridge, a sudden impact rocked the deck as a Scourge kamikaze strike penetrated their forward shields. Damage report, Chen called out, steadying herself against her command chair. Hull breach on decks 5 through 8, reported the damage control officer. Automatic sealants deploying. Casualties reported in engineering section. Chen clenched her jaw but remained focused. Maintain formation. We need to end this now. She opened a channel to the special operations vessel shadowing the Intrepid. Vanguard team, you're authorized for Operation Spearhead. May your aim be true. Acknowledged, Admiral, came the response. Vanguard deploying. From the sleek black vessel, smaller craft emerged. Dropships carrying Earth's elite combat teams. While the fleet engaged the Scourge in space, these soldiers would board the command structure and destroy the Worldbreaker from within. As the battle reached its climax, news spread throughout the Alliance. On world after world, beings gathered around communication arrays and viewscreens, watching as humanity, the species they had rejected, forgotten, dismissed, fought to save them all. On Nova Prime, Commander Vextil stood with his people, watching the battle telemetry with a mixture of awe and gratitude. On the Alliance capital of Harmonia, the council chambers remained in session, leaders of 47 species confronting the reality of how wrong they had been about humanity. And aboard the Intrepid, Admiral Helena Chen watched as the Vanguard team reported success, the Worldbreaker neutralized, the Scourge command structure in chaos. All ships, she broadcast, pressed the advantage. No quarter for the command vessels. Rescue protocols for any slave ships identified. The Scourge, for the first time in their long history of consumption, broke formation and fled, scattering in all directions, abandoning their grand plan in the face of humanity's unexpected might. As the battle wound down, Chen received a transmission from High Counselor Vren. "Admiral," he said, his voice heavy with emotion that transcended species barriers, "the Alliance owes humanity a debt that cannot be calculated. You have saved not just Proxima, but potentially all our worlds." Chen nodded acknowledgement. "We didn't do it for debt or gratitude, Counselor. We did it because it needed to be done." Nevertheless, Vren continued, "the Council has convened an emergency session. We unanimously request Earth's formal admission to the Galactic Alliance, not as a member state, but as a founding partner in a new alliance structure, one where humanity's unique perspectives are valued rather than feared." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "I'll relay your offer to Earth Command, Counselor. I believe they'll be receptive." As the transmission ended, she looked out at the stars. At the galaxy humanity had rejoined on their own terms. 70 years ago, the Alliance had rejected Earth for being too dangerous, too unpredictable, too human. Now, those same qualities had saved them all. "Set course for Harmonia," she ordered. It's time humanity took its place among the stars. Around the Intrepid, the Earth Defense Fleet regrouped, ships bearing the scars of battle, but victorious. They had stood as the shield of humanity against the darkness, proving that sometimes the very qualities others fear are the ones that save them in the end. And throughout the galaxy, on worlds that had never known Earth except in historical records, beings looked to the skies with new hope and a new understanding of what it meant to be human.